Hey YouTube, this is Nordic Brit. So the United Kingdom has pushed out some new plans for what they think the lockdown will look like over the next weeks and months. And this comes on top of basically lots of changes. And the new Brazil variant throws up a few other questions. And this got me thinking, there's so much uncertainty with these kind of things, but uncertainty in itself should only create one thing for you, and that is preparedness. When things cannot be certain, then you should be prepared for different outcomes and different eventualities. You see these changes in rules. Here in Sweden, just as an example of how this can affect kind of the macro life, if you want to put it that way, is the commune where I live has changed the regulations about the classroom sizes and the days in which certain students come in. Now, those students come in and that changes every week. So even just planning classes, so we're not even talking about prolonged periods of economic decline or pandemics, lockdowns, electricity going out, lack of finances, food, all the kind of serious stuff. Even just consider the macro stuff. You have to look at this and think, wow, you need to really be prepared. And if there's one thing that everyone can learn from this pandemic, is that you really should be looking at this as a good blueprint for how did you respond? How was it for you during this lockdown? For a lot of people, it was tough. For preppers, people in our own circle already, it was less tough. Some more tougher than others, some not so tough, some probably not tough at all. But for a lot of people, this was very tough. You're talking about strained finances, you're talking about electricity going out, like in Texas, and storms. Uncertainty in itself creates this lack of stability, which means preparedness is paramount of importance, whether that's financial backing, having some buffer in finances, some savings stored away, can help you through a difficult week or month. I've had those months sometimes myself. But also, if the electric goes out or the food, or you go to the supermarket and there's no toilet paper or there's no food to buy, these things happen, and they normally, when they are happening, it's already too late to deal with it. So, this kind of new change in regulation in the UK, absolutely no one in the UK, for example, should be taking this as kind of the rule of law, because next week or next month, it could change again. And then everyone's back in the same situation again. No one should plan for what they think it might look like, because it's almost impossible to say, okay, in 6 months, everything's going to be fine. You don't know. This pandemic now has been raging for more than a year. Just consider that. This started in November, around November time, almost over a year ago now in China. And now, we're in March. In March, over a year later. In March was when the first lockdowns were coming in Europe. So it's been a year in Europe and the US. And then you've got other issues that can make this more complex. You're talking about the pandemic, for example. It's like, that's serious, obviously. But think about the political changes, the climate change, weather events, all kinds of stuff. There's so much uncertainty. So if there's one lesson that I really want everyone to think about, is that uncertainty, whether that's yourself with your job or in your household or the country you live in or the world, uncertainty should create a state of preparedness always. And if you can never answer something for certain, and I mean paramount for certain, it cannot be like, oh, probably it's going to be okay. You need to be absolutely sure. Then if it's not absolutely sure, then you absolutely must prepare for the fact that it may not be, and therefore not be surprised later. If the government tells you something's going to be fine in 6 months' time, they're also only going on predictions. They may be right, but they also may be wrong. There's way too many variables to consider. So just take this lesson, I hope. I've learned myself through this, whether that's the macro effects, like I said, with the job, or whether that's the larger effects. with preparing. It's actually put some of my preps to the test, as well as your mental health and stuff like that. So I've learned something, and everyone always learns. But everyone, just consider how long these things might go on for, and use this as a lesson. Use this as a lesson to prepare yourself for what may happen, and don't be singular about it. People in Texas, for example, were probably preparing for lockdown, and some of them had, and then suddenly a power outage comes. Again, it's another problem on top of an already existing problem. So you have to be prepared for multiple issues. And if you've got one area that you're not preparing for at all, you could prepare for 99 problems. And if the 100th one arrives and you haven't prepared for it, it could put your other things in jeopardy also. So just consider those things. I hope this has been helpful for you. I'm trying to plan some more videos. Let me know what you think in the comment below, in the comments, and let me know what you're thinking about with regards to how we should push preparedness to other people who are not, whether that's family and friends, and how to broaden the scale of preparedness. That would be really good. More people need to get involved in that kind of area and share their knowledge. But as always, this has been Nordic Brit, and I'll see you in the next video.